This is one of those conversations that you just have to have. People are challenging times. Got some great community members that are being affected by this. So appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah.
Hey guys, good to see you. Jordan. Hey Phil.
Hi.
Hey
Yeah.
Victor.
Hi, Tim.
Jordan, I really appreciated your post yesterday. You think you have the same thing on your heart that I do. It's just something's happening. You're probably becoming a filter for some people. So just doing that outreach, talking to the local fire department, that was really great.
It's interesting. The local fire department said, we said, what can we get you? They said, we have enough. Wait a
Hmm.
week. This was over the weekend. They said, wait till the end of this week or even next week when we get a grip on where we are. And a lot of donation centers even had too many volunteers. They said, you can sign up tomorrow at 3. So what an embarrassment of riches to have.
Yeah, right.
Hope you keep it up.
I think it is the continued nature of this thing. I'm going to kind of kick us off and just say, hey, everyone, welcome. Today is January 15th, 2025. We're obviously coming together today on the weekly briefing just to talk through what's been happening in Los Angeles with the fires. Clearly, kind of a big event, just if you're in the States or especially on the West Coast. Even more if you're in LA, you kind of understand the impact. But I also came to realize that in this community that we have, it's what we do as we come together. So very proud of the community. It came and launched because of COVID. It's one of the kind of the codifying moments of community to begin with. I guess still see the support there. So I thought it'd be just important to have a conversation today about what's going on. Like you heard Jordan, I'll kind of stop sharing right now. Jordan kind of put out there just the work that he did recently, talking to the local fire department, doing outreach. But anybody on the West Coast, Hung, I'm sure you're feeling this way, is most likely being hit up by someone asking what's going on, how close are you, how can I help, and that kind of stuff. So figure inside of a community as many followers we have, it's good to just have a moment here of just reconciling and working together. So first of all, let's just check in. How's everyone doing? Who Hung, Jordan, me, we're in LA. Anyone else in Los Angeles or attached to someone in LA that is dealing with the evacuation or either that or loss? You guys know of? Jordan, I'm guessing just the proximity that you have to you're in Santa Monica, so you're south of the Palisades area that burned, but Santa Monica was evacuated, and then you're a little bit further south than that. But most likely, like me, many people that were at least evacuated. There was like 150,000 people evacuated. So I'm sure you got some of those initial kind of moments and calls and texts of how's everyone doing, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm actually in West LA, just east of the Santa Monica border, so I'm even further away. And because my daughters went to Palisades High, and a lot of the film crews live there, and other directors I know, uh, I mean, by the second day, there were photos of rubble, GoFundMe's, and people have really come together. My wife and I started finding random people just whose GoFundMe's were low because it would help them in the algorithm. The people that have that, I mean, some people raise $60,000-$70,000 in 4 days, and so they're getting pushed to the top. So
Oh,
there's Google Docs on Instagram where you can just, I mean, I just found a woman and her grandmother that lost their house, burnt to the ground. So we're trying to spread it out. It's almost random.
oh yeah, it is interesting. Like the way a lot of those platforms are set up is to reward somebody who's getting the notices, but in this case, equal distribution who's hurting the most should be able to get it. So yeah, kind of important to do your homework that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, there's like a impulsive nature, I think, to want to jump in immediately and help. I mean, there's very little you can actually do. I mean, as you said before we just got started, the local fire department is even saying we have enough. I've heard reports of people, we'll call it like the burden of donations, where like there's actually just too many diapers to be given away. There's not enough people needing it, and now we're trying to figure out like, is this trash or where do we store it? Like, there's an additional burden because the initial impact is always there. The impulsive impact is there, but then as the fire department told you, like it's actually like wait a few weeks. Like it's the long play that many of us have to be there for. Hung, how about you? Like you're even further south, but north of where I am. Um, how are your connections or people that you've been connected with working through this?
Yeah, it was definitely a weird time. A couple of our team members were in the evacuation zone, closer, like in close up there in Santa Monica, and also near the Griffin Observatory, and they evacuated for a bit there too. So yeah, it did kind of interrupt us for a bit there, and it didn't feel right to make people work during that time. And also, just on the client side, we just constantly check in on clients and pushing back meetings, things like that. I feel like things are slowly getting back to normal now. Hopefully it will stay that way.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like one of those black swan moments. Like you actually don't ever plan for this. This is uncalculable. You don't know when or how this is going to happen. But when it hits, it just kind of changes everything in the moment, at least, and the disruption is real in there.
Yeah.
Um,
And yeah, another thing too, Tim, is there's always something happening in LA, and there were three different events that I was supposed to go to. People had screening, things like that had to be canceled or delayed. So I think it definitely impacts the creative community a lot. But I feel like, you know, in a way, we got to bounce back quickly, reschedule, do those things quickly because you don't want to be out of work or not celebrate the work we do just because of this as well.
yeah, that's a really great point. I One of the first people I contacted was somebody actually in the Altadena area. So there's a Palisades area, and then further east, as you've probably seen a map, there's an Altadena area, and both of them are kind of hubs for the creative industry. For some reason, the Art Center, College of Design, is kind of in that Pasadena area, and then up in the hillside there is where JPL is. So you get this like science and kind of art district, and that part was hit over there. And this guy was a business owner, and to be honest, as I was talking to him, I didn't know what to encourage him to do. I don't know what the right answer was, but he has lost his house. His family's displaced, so he was safe. That part was there. I think everyone kind of had somewhere to land, but to reconcile that. But his impulse was, I have to get back to work, right? Because the next thing you're thinking of is like, this is going to start costing me money. And I was thinking, like, well, should you? I mean, like, you just went through a tragedy, and to just run back to work is difficult. And that clash, I think, is the hardest. One of the hardest moments is like in the time of crisis, and most of us have understand some of this crisis. If we again go back to when COVID hit and the community got started, was trying to figure out like, what do we do? Like this initial panic. And in this case, it's like to rebuild. It's going to take a very long time to rebuild, so it makes sense to go back to work. Um, and in that case, we were just simply trying to find a place for him to go. Found a location for him. Very simple. The people in our network is amazing. They so many open doors, so many open computers, whatever is needed to get that done. Um, but yeah, that initial impulse just to like want to get back to work and get things started is part of it. But I think that a community, we have to be aware of the long play a little bit there, even in the care of somebody. Hey, maybe in the short run, put someone back to work, but also recognize, if that's your employee or if that's someone, a freelancer you're working with, you may have to like work through some of the items with them. Their battle with insurance for the next 7 months, their battle with a county to rebuild something, even just to move, are going to be some of the things that we're going to support people in, that are indirectly related to just the immediate catastrophe. Um, what other thoughts you guys have? People outside of LA, what questions do you have? Well, we have some firsthand accounts. If there's anything specific that you're wondering, go ahead, Jordan.
This isn't, I'm not out of town as we established, but it it kind of goes along with what you were saying about when to get back to work and do you give yourself a pause or whatever. But so my son and I had tickets to like a video game expo, and we've had the tickets since I don't know, a couple days after Christmas. And a couple of events that I was going to go to got postponed, and this one sent out a newsletter, email saying they decided to go forward because of all the people that had a booth, and it's a trade show. And so we decided to go. And I was telling my son, we have to keep the economy going. Like if they cut it off, there's 300 exhibitors that are counting on selling something there. And there were stars from the video games. People, it's not really my world, but they're charging money for a selfie, and this is their livelihood. So when we waited a day or so. We want to be sensitive. I even had some self promotion that I couched in like, this is if you need a laugh. Hey, this is a distraction. Like, I'm not trying to put on blinders. And I think it's important that we all keep hope going, keep business going. I mean, there are so many levels of the economy that are hurt, like gardeners and housekeepers in the Palisades. There's probably 6,000 people that are out of work.
Yeah. I was thinking even adding to that, Jordan, that entire body of people, right? Because it was mostly housing. When
Yeah.
they shop, they drive about a mile and a half south into Santa Monica. And now you have thousands of people that are not going to be going to restaurants and going to those storefronts. Of course, like on the west side again is like almost where the production houses are. And the reason is because those executives were kind of living in those housing, and that was convenient for them to drive. And now rent and real estate, and I mean, there's just such an impact immediately below it because of the economic situation that and burden this is going to be.
To me, it's the only time trickle down economics works,
Yeah, right.
when
Yeah.
it screws everybody over.
But what I think there's a part of this, like, is it right to say like survivor's guilt? Like there's something that says, I there's a practical nature that I want to do. I kind of want to rush to it, provide things, give money, give up my house or whatever, that first wave. But then the thought is like, where is it, or where is it perceived to be greedy, and where is it perceived to be smart in the decisions we need to make as a community, or as an economy in some degree. Because you're right, I think that these folks want to get to work. They are just as concerned about providing for their family. It doesn't go on pause. There's no handout for somebody that is struggling with this fire and they get their salary taken care of, like a PPP loan. There's nothing like that happening in a situation like this. So, you have to act like things are normal to some degree and get back to work. Your kids have to go to school on Zoom or whatever. Just like everything starts to have a different pivot to it. What are your thoughts, Hung?
I was just going to say for all of those who are not in LA, this is a perfect time to check in on your potential clients or clients in LA. Just simply, but I know we all want to do that, right? It's a human thing to do, but it's the best thing to do right now, right? You just simply checking in, say, hey, are you doing okay? And that's it. And it's an awareness thing, and I think this is such a perfect time if I were not in LA. I mean, we do that to our clients; they appreciate it
Yeah.
a lot.
Did you are you finding it hard to find the words for that check-in?
I mean, yeah, totally. I think if you are not in LA, you would not know the geography at all, right? So you kind of assume that anyone could be in the danger zone.
Yeah.
So, like we know our clients, we know they are in proximity of that area, then we can be more specific. But I think it's very forgiving if you're not in LA to check in just
Yeah.
in general.
And
Yeah.
just like the words, how to express. Go ahead, Jason. Like how to express some of that. Yeah.
No, I just was saying like, and it's on one of my calls earlier today. It's a production team that's based in LA, and even just the tangential stuff, like, people on this team were evacuated and things like that. Thankfully, no one lost their homes, but there's kids that are at home now. There's no school because the school's burned, and or they're consolidating to other locations, and so it just is a quite the time where just the normal order has been so disrupted, and even people that again weren't directly impacted but are in the LA area, they're feeling the impact. I would venture to say that even people down that as far south as you, Tim, are going to start feeling that impact, just because of the disruption that is there.
Yeah, I the impact is definitely there. Even if it wasn't a fire issue, parts of LA Unified were shut down because of just toxic air concerns, getting people out of the house. I know that I'm about an hour drive south, which means it's like 10 miles in Los Angeles because it takes long to drive. But it's like I could see the situation, but just the conditions that are happening. And the one thing that frustrates me so much right now is this price gouging for all these short-term rentals, what have you. And we have a short-term rental. We put it up immediately, make sure that it was there. No change in price, just like access. People needed access to something. But my wife was comparing things, and things that used to rent for $3,000 or $4,000 a month are going for $14,000 and $15,000 a month immediately. And like, these are people that already suffered a tremendous loss. They can't function at work, and now they're just basic living of trying to find a place to live, to stay within the proximity of their community is 3 or 4 times their usual rate. Yeah, you almost like, I don't know. Sometimes I really lose hope in humanity. When I see stuff like that, it just makes me so frustrated that people would even do that to one another.
Can I ask a really selfish question? I know I'm not supposed to be here, but sorry,
What
I'm
do you mean I'm supposed
crashing.
to be here? You're here. Ask all the
You're
questions you
here.
want
You're
to.
supposed to be here.
Oh, humans. I lived in LA. I went to Northridge, so I lived there
Oh,
for a few years, and I was on like Bumby and Santa Monica, Bundy and Santa Monica, but like, um, as not like I live in Orlando, Florida. Yes. Sorry for those that don't know, that is the random mascot of Northridge. Um,
yeah.
the I live in Orlando, Florida. The perspective of the hurricanes, we get hit by those and their impact, the price gouging, and I don't mean to sound like lack of empathy, but or apathetic. Do people assume that insurance is going to cover those increased housing prices? That's
Yeah.
not the feeling I like. I would assume that's the feeling. I live in Florida, so that's the political climate where they'll make those assumptions, which is
Right.
I'm just understand why people would do that.
I don't understand if someone would do it either. I agree with you. I think that there is, well, here's another thing we can kind of reconcile too. There's a perceived wealth, right? So the Palisades was one of the most expensive places to live. People are very well off, and that wealth gives you a perception that they can't be hurting that bad, or these are rich people, or kind of that kind of thinking, regardless of the hurt or reality. And in reality, like, it wasn't just only, I mean, wealthy people that came into this thing. These are family homes for 30, 40, 50, 60 years for some people, second generation homes that they're living in that are lost. So that, yeah, that there's a perception that the money is there in someone else's checking account and you can just get it. But to me, it's just pure greed. I mean, this is a time of need. You almost want to drop the prices, or I know some people have just brought people into their houses. But one lady called me. She has a 1,600 square foot house. So she joked that if she adds 2 pieces of paper, it's crowded in her house, right? But then she let a family of 4 come in there, and you're like, that is a very crowded space. And then there's, what she was talking about was, I don't even know when they're going to leave. And that's a awkward and weird thing. So like, I brought you in, but like, are we going to share this bathroom for the next 2 years or just 2 weeks? Like, nobody really knows what to do, because that initial impulse is going to lead to other kind of human needs and human requirements. So I think that's where like community works. So that if there are more than one place for people to reach out to, they can depend on different people for different reasons, for the money, to get people into the GoFundMe, contribute to the GoFundMe pages, or give you a house, or give you a computer, Go sit next to Jordan in his Airstream, whatever that is, like make things happen so that the resources we have together, we can pool them together. Um, like right now, Los Angeles is kind of hogging this conversation because it's the one that's in front of us right now. But almost all of us have kind of been in some situation where a crisis has hit. I was thinking about the war in Ukraine when that started. Was almost, and like the community's reaction to that moment was almost amazing and sweet and scary too. We did a podcast with a company to get some firsthand perspective of what's going on. A lot of people moved out of the region immediately and were looking for work. And I know the community stepped up and found that. And even today, some people are still just displaced and trying to find, the location. And to know that there's a larger group of people, I think we're very lucky to have each other and have that community. There are some people that don't have that. And one of the things I want to do is invite them in so some of that long-term care can take place.
Yeah, Tim, I think in a way, for the creative community, the big difference is that LA is such a big hub. And, and LA has a lot of work for the rest of the world. People, studios in Europe will be affected by clients not being able to do work in LA. So
Yeah.
I think, we feel that a lot more than anything else, honestly.
Yeah, the major studios and major marketers that are in that region. I agree with you, Hung. Like I was trying to think of like if 10% of our community says they live in Los Angeles and there's a three-time kind of thing there, like we're looking for nearly 40 or 50% of our community can be immediately impacted by just the workflow, clients that they have, freelancers that they use, and so on. I know I have a client that their job wasn't canceled, but it's definitely not starting, January 11th like they thought it was. And that's unfortunate for them right now because they could use it, and the employees that they had could use a position, some work to go to, but that little disruption, um, that trickles out, like you're saying, Hung. Um, Phil, once you ask that question, you're saying how long will this leave the news cycle? I guess, right? Like how long will it be until we're not talking about this anymore in the news cycle, and therefore not paying attention to it? Is that one of the questions you were saying? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Phil's
Sorry.
name.
No, I was like, because so in Orlando there was Pulse shooting, and what you had talked about earlier, Jordan, about this like surplus of supplies. We lost thousands of liters of blood because there were so many donations right after this terrible tragedy, and then nothing for like 2 weeks later. So I was just curious if you guys think in LA, like, well, because it's affecting this community so much, there's a lot of script writers. It's going to be incorporated into film and TV. I would just wonder if it would allow extended support, unlike Ukraine, unlike Mexico earthquake, or unlike other communities. And
I don't know. Like I think the news cycle, I almost feel like the news cycle is already pushing it out. Like, okay, we
Mm.
talked about that for a week, where obviously we're getting, minute by minute updates and then hour by hour updates, and then every interruption that's taking place, and that's all kind of push itself out there. Um, the way our news cycle works, and I think fundraising and that kind of stuff takes advantage of it, is there's only a very short run, and then the real victims are the ones that can't do the long term. And that again, I think that's where we have to be honest with each other, and that's the benefit of community, is that because we're actually relating to one another, we can see that and hear that and keep it going. Um, in any of these situations, that there's people that you can depend on and be honest. Hey, I could really use some work right now. Do you have something? And a community should be able to respond and say, oh, yeah, of course. Um, and I think it's a level of comfort of community that you're willing to ask. It's when you're not comfortable is where you hide, and then people hurt even more or struggle even more. Yeah. I'm wondering if there's any thought process of what we might want to do together as a community. Somebody threw out an idea, and I often feel like if someone gives me the idea, they expect me to do it, but then if I do it, nobody follows because they just think Tim's doing it. But someone said, like, should we just start a Google sheet and just like have it there and saying, by the way, here are things that I have if you need them, open door. Um, like just feel free to reach out to me or call me or whatever. Um, so I'm game with that. I can post a Google sheet somewhere, and I don't even know what the structure is. Imagine that. I wouldn't know how to structure a Google sheet for this, but I imagine just like who you are and what resources you have, so we can be honest with each other.
I
Um,
can the Google
yeah,
Sheet now. You guys talk and make that my like ticket of admission.
that'd be great.
And I'll
Um,
add an anonymous Google form so if people feel uncomfortable asking, they could submit a question of like, this is what I need, but didn't see it listed.
yeah, I feel like you just put your name and like contact me directly if you need access to this, but I have this if you need it. Um, and obviously what we do in common is have studio space or computer space or rendering power, or I almost want there to be something like, I can't do this work, but I need the money from it. Would you be willing to do this work for free? Do you have a human sitting around that's not busy that would be able to actually finish this job for me at no cost, and be able to have a community that says, yeah, let's just do that. I mean, one time, who cares? Let's get this thing delivered for you so you can get the money part of it. And sometimes that's easier for us business owners to give up a resource we have, like time or computer power or whatever, than it is to give up money anyway. But I wanted just to be a place to post that. So someone put that out there. Um, but any other thoughts of what we can do in community to support each other? Let's just say support each other in a time of crisis. This is the case study we have right now. But at any point, like, how do you guys want to act or behave or expect from one another when these moments show up? I mean, I guess the first one is, it's helpful to talk about it, even just like to use the weekly briefing day to just have a conversation. I personally think that's just opened the door to something. So the conversation part, just talking about it. Um,
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like, if any studio or studio owner that would lose work because of this, whether their employees are in crisis so they cannot work, I think that's something that we all can chip in and help, white label stuff to get them through the period when they need to. I think that's something that we all can chip in and help for sure.
yeah, I love that.
Could we work on a project to promote awareness in a way?
Yeah, that's cool. That's a kind of a cool idea, right? Like a community project that says we stand behind you, or we do something where people can contribute or at least promote it, that we did it together. We built the project together and stand together that way. Yeah. What do you think of Jordan?
I just put a link in the chat that it's not finessed, but I made it live about 20 minutes before we started this. I've got some notable filmmakers, and we're going to do a live Zoom, charge 99 bucks, and give all the money to a charity as yet to be determined. And then with my boot camp, which is like a quarterly seminar, I'm giving half of the proceeds to that. So I think if any of us have locally some soft skills we could teach or post or put on an event and give whatever you're comfortable from that event to a charity of your choice, I think it's a good reason for people to get out and spend some money.
That's excellent. I love the idea of doing like a fundraisers. Again, like now, or maybe just I need to put it on my calendar and say 2 months from now, hey, it's a good time to do a fundraiser again. There are still victims out there dealing with things. And if we could raise, 50 grand and donate it to a cause that one of us knows or something like that, it'd be good to just have that check in, um, and have that resource. Because what is nice is that in this case, a pocket of our community is being hit, and the rest of the community can support it. And you can imagine in time and pressure in different areas where that'd be available to us. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy if we raised 5 grand with this 2 hour seminar. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't, 100 people at 100 bucks is 10 grand, right?
10 grand. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That'd be
I don't know
great.
if we'll get 100 people, but we can handle it.
Well, we
So
can.
50 would be fine. But
Well, we
then again, I question, like we talked about, if there's too many diapers. There's so many cases of bottled water at the racetrack in LA that now people, how do they deal with it?
yeah. The well, that's where like being smart, I guess, the contribution of where we're being smart. And I
Yeah,
love the idea that you went down the GoFundMe to where people really need it, opposed to where it's, where the algorithm has pushed them into the top. Um, just to have that responsibility and be able to say like, hey, I'd love to raise $4,000 for this one family who wants to be in the pool with me, or to throw an event like that. At least what I know, Jordan, is like if you do that, you can tell us and we can cross
hmm,
promote it for you, right? So if you would get
please.
20 and we can get you to 100 because we all cross promote it, that's a huge benefit without a lot of effort that we can put out there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not in a studio space. I have an agency where we do performance marketing stuff. So if you, Jordan, do that Zoom, or say you guys all collectively do a webinar of just pulling resources and available contacts and stuff like that, I'm happy to donate if you guys want my team to like provide you to do the ads for you, or to at least like put together the emails that you can do to send to your existing list to help people sign up. We sign up people for webinars all the time. That's easy. Takes me an hour.
Oh,
Well,
that's
thank you.
excellent.
I may tap you for that. Like right now, I think social media and my own mailing list is going to get the word out, but I'm not going to turn down your offer and make it an even bigger event.
I got you.
So
I
even
literally
just sharing the link with your own point of view on it would help.
For sure. It's super. I would just do it if someone buys a ticket. So say you're saying it's $99. I would also then offer, would you like to do a scholarship ticket for someone that's been affected so that they can buy an extra one? And then you can have like, hey, I'd really like to attend, but I've been affected. And then you can say like, we have scholarship tickets.
Oh, that's nice. That's a
Yeah, the
great idea.
whole that goes into it, and so that you accept both sides.
That's excellent.
And Lauren, this is you at Mongoose Media.
That is me. Oh, yeah. It's like, how did you find me so quickly?
You have a good assistant there, Lauren. You got a
I'm
right hand
usually
man right there. Um,
just
I love that challenge, Jordan. I almost thinking myself of like, um, I'll have to think about that, but some kind of accelerator that I can do, kind of add to that pod as well. Is there anybody out there right now that's affected that we need to help? Anybody that you know, or any of you that you uh, need something directly from us that we can help? We find a resource, or find a person, um, find a way of getting it done, anything like that. If the answer is no, then I think we're pretty blessed right now. To at least know that many of us, just our 1 or 2 degrees of separation is kind of a big enough impact. um, well, that's all I really had as an agenda today. I just wanted to talk about it, make sure if anyone had any questions or thoughts, or know of somebody that information gets out there. I want you to know that we're here for you. That as open as this conversation is inside a community, you can just start a conversation. Phil and Lauren, I think you guys should probably just post that Google Sheet inside a community right now. I'll make it a live link to on the web, and then I can share it back with you guys if you want to put it on social media or tell other people about it. But I'm going to repost it on our social media as well, so people know it exists. And then any of you that are in community and see that, or see one of my social media feeds, if you would just push that out there too. I love this idea. Well, we'll guard it as like make sure there's no scammers putting crap out there or whatever. But I would imagine the first wave should be somewhat genuine, and then we can pay attention to that. But that's great. Any parting words or thoughts that any of you want to have?
Thank you, John. He already signed up.
John. John stepping in right away. Well, then I'll just say, like, truly, these are when the words are most meaningful. But I truly love this community. I love all you guys. I'm glad you're part of this with me and showing up today, having this conversation, supporting one another. It's really great. Clearly, there's only a few people on this in comparison to the size of the community. So, with the effort that we, just put in today, it'd be great if we can kind of keep the momentum going with the initiatives that we've started and whatever else is out there. We'll do our best to kind of loop people in. And as always, I'll be making, I know I'm a connector. I make these small introductions behind the scenes in your DMs or whatever, so I can keep that going. But it's really great. It's really great to be in this community. Jordan, thank you for sharing from your point of view, the stuff that you've been seeing and hearing. It's been tough. It's been a kind of tough week or so. The amount of text messages I've got from people and just different situations. I know that people love us, are caring for us, and are asking how we're doing. So I'm sure many you got something similar. It's great to feel loved and supported that way. Great. Well, there's anything else we can do for you, just use community. You can always reach out to me, tim@revthink.com. If you have another idea or thought or want to put something out there, or DM me in any of those platforms. Lauren, Phil, thanks for contributing today. Great ideas. Lauren, I'm sure we're going to have see some of your fancy work with Jordan's promotion thing there. So it'd be great to do that.
Easy peasy. I got you. Like literally, I can't do any studio work, but I can donate that. And if there's any, I can put that if there's other people. I don't know if that's relevant. I don't want to steal the studio guys of what you're doing, but if you find other fundraising groups, that's easy.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Lauren.
Speak Facebook ads. You'll find very few people who know as much as I do on that subject.
Great.
Color correction?
Nope.
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 Hey, we need all of us, Lauren. Don't be shying away. We're all in here this thing together, so we're all good. All right. Well, thank you all. I appreciate you all. And again, keep us posted with everything you too. And until next week, hope you're well, and we'll see you again. Thank you.